Good morning. We are starting with Henry V, Act 4, Scene 2. We're going to make it through 2 and 3 today, Lord willing. All right, we're on page 157. You should be following along. We're going to start with the Dauphin, Orléans, Rambouillet, and Beaumont. All right, here we go. Orléans starts. The sun doth gild our armor. Up, my lords. Mont et cheval, my horse, varlet, lackey, ha! O brave spirit, Orléans says. Vive les eaux et terre. So he said, I'm going to ride with the wind and the earth. And he says, rien puis, l'air et feu. So he says, and not fire as well. And he says, cieux, cousin Orléans, which means heavens. So he's going to ride like a god through the heavens. All right. They're more of this banter that they've been having about this horse. All right. Now, my Lord Constable. Hark, how our steeds for present service neigh. Mount them, and make incision in their hides, that their hot blood may spin in English eyes, and doubt them with their superfluous courage. Ha! What will you have them weep our horses' blood? How shall we then behold their natural tears? So they're still goofing around, right? They're very confident, very eager to get to battle. The messenger comes back. The English are embattled, you French peers. To horse, you gallant princes, straight to horse. Do but behold yond poor and starved band, and your fair show shall suck away their souls, leaving them but the shales and husks of men. There is not work enough for all our hands, scarce blood enough in all their sickly veins to give each naked kirtle axe a stain, that our French gallants shall today draw out. So Constable now, he hasn't been participating in so much of this overconfidence, but he is now saying that it's such a ragged band of English soldiers assembled before them that he thinks they don't even need the entire army to beat them. So, okay, that our French gallants today shall draw out and sheathe for lack of sport. Let us but blow on them. The vapor of our valor will overturn them. 'Tis positive against all exceptions, lords, that our superfluous lackeys and our peasants, who in unnecessary action swarm about our squares of battle, were enough to purge this field of such a hilding foe. Though we upon this mountain's basis by took stand for idle speculation, but that our honors must not. Okay, so they could stand by and watch this battle, and they could even send in their horse lackeys and their servants that they have brought with them, and they think they could have won the battle. Very, very confident that this battle is theirs today. What's to say? A very little let us do, and all is done. Then let the trumpet sound, the tucket sonance, and the note to mount. For our approach shall so much dare the field that England shall couch down in fear and yield. Oh, so they are. The constable says that just their riding onto the field of battle is going to cause the English to bow down and yield. All right, Grand Pré. Why do you stay so long, my lords of France? Yond island carrions, desperate of their bones, ill-favoredly become the morning field. Their ragged curtains poorly are let loose, and our air shakes them passing scornfully. Big Mars, the god of battle, remember, through a rusty beaver peeps. The horsemen sit like fixed candlesticks, with torch staves in their hand, and their poor jades lob down their heads, drooping the hides and hips. The gum down roping from their pale dead eyes, and in their pale dull mouths their gimmeled bit lies foul with chawed grass, still and motionless, and their executors, the knavish crows, fly o'er them, all impatient for their hour. Description cannot suit itself in words to demonstrate the life of such a battle, and life so lifeless as it shows itself. So Grand Pré says that the English look like they're already half dead. They look like a ghost army standing there. So tired and worn are they. They have said their prayers, and they stay for death. Shall we go and send them dinners and fresh suits, and give their fasting horses provender, and after fight with them? So the Dauphin is so, he looks at them and thinks that they look so bad that he thinks maybe they should have pity on them and send them dinner and fresh suits of armor before they have this battle, that it's going to be embarrassing to beat such a ragged-looking crew. The constable says, I stay but for my guard. On to the field. I will the banner from a trumpet take, and use it for my haste. Come away. The sun is high, and we outwear the day. All right, scene 3. We're on page 161 if you're catching up with us. Gloucester says, "Where's the king?" The king himself is rode to view their battle. Of fighting men, they have full 60,000. So 60 is 600,000. 60. 3 times 2. I'm sorry, 6,000. 60. 60,000. Good grief, I can't do math this morning. There's 5 to 1. Besides, they are all fresh. So 5 to 1. So if the French have 60,000 and it's 5 to 1, that means, if you're doing math with me this morning, and let's say I'm doing it correctly, there are about 12,000 English fighters on the field. And unfortunately, as the French have already noted, the English are all beat up from their battle against Harfleur and their travel across to Calais and or to Agincourt. They haven't quite made it to Calais. And they are tired and worn, and the French are all new and clean and shiny. All right. Salisbury says, "God's arm strike with us, 'tis a fearful odds. God be with you, princes all. I'll to my charge. If we no more meet till we meet in heaven, then joyfully, my noble Lord of Bedford, my dear Lord Gloucester, and my good Lord Exeter, and my kind kinsmen, warriors all, adieu." So goodbye. "Farewell, good Salisbury, and good luck go with thee." So they're saying their goodbyes as if this may be the end. "And yet I do thee wrong to mind thee of it, for thou art framed of the firm truth of valor." Exeter says, "Farewell, kind lord. Fight valiantly today," and Salisbury exits. Bedford says, "He is as full of valor as of kindness, princely in both." And here comes the King of England. Westmoreland says, "Oh, that we now had here but 10,000 of those men in England that do no work today." So remember, they left a good portion. They left 3/4 of their army in England to protect England from any kind of Scottish invasion. So Westmoreland's saying he wished that they had 10,000 of them here today to help him. And Henry says, "What's he that wishes so? My cousin Westmoreland? No, my fair cousin. If we are marked to die, we are enough to do our country loss. And if to live, the fewer the men, the greater the share of honor. So there are so few of us, perhaps, compared to them. But if we are going to die today, then to lose only 12,000 is better than to lose another 10,000 on top of it. But if they are to win against the odds of 5 to 1 is so much more honor than to have another 10,000 there beside them. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men on my garments wear. Such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most offending soul alive. So Henry's saying here that he thinks it's not a sin, obviously, to covet honor. So he thinks that this is something good to covet, and that is what he covets here. He's not here for the gold of France, he says, but for the honor of winning this battle. "No faith, my coz. Wish not a man from England. God's peace I would not lose so great an honor as one man more, methinks, would share from me, for the best hope I have. Oh, do not wish one more. Rather proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this fight, let him depart." So, very interesting little analogy or allusion here to Gideon. Do you remember when Gideon went to battle? And Gideon had, I believe, 10,000 men to start, and God said that it was too many. And through a series of eliminations, they ended up with just 300. But at one point, at the greatest point, when they had the greatest number of men, God said to tell Gideon to tell the men that if they were afraid, then they could leave. They could just get up and leave. And this is what Henry is also saying. He says it's already 5 to 1, but if there's anybody here who doesn't want to be on this battlefield, he may leave at this point. Now, this may seem a little arrogant or incautious, but I think that in some ways it's to stir up their honor, their bravery. Nobody really wants to walk away from a fight when their king says, if you're afraid, go ahead, leave. So I think that he's trying to steel their nerves. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse. We would not die in that man's company that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispin. So there's a St. Crispin's Day, and that's the day of this battle. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand on tiptoe when this day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispin. He that shall see this day and live old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, Tomorrow is St. Crispin. Then will he strip his sleeve and show his scars. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot. But he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. So this day will forever live in his memory as that if he wins today, that this is a great battle that they overcame. Such great odds. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered, so they'll toast to them. This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispin shall never go by. But this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered, we few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Now this is a very famous line from this play. We band of brothers. This is often used by men in combat together who become close to each other, so close that they are perhaps even closer than family as they fight in combat together. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition, and gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed that they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whilst any speaks that fought with us on St. Crispin's day. My sovereign lord, bestow yourself with speed. The French are bravely in their battles set, and will with all expedients charge on us. All things are ready, if our minds be so. Perish the man whose mind is backward now. Thou dost not wish more help from England, coz? God's will, my liege, would you and I alone without more help could fight this royal battle. Why, now thou hast unwished 5,000 men, which likes me better than to wish us one. You know your places. God be with you all. Once more I come to know of thee, King Harry. Here's Montjoy, the French herald. If for thy ransom thou wilt now compound, before thy most assured overthrow, for certainly thou art so near the gulf, thou needs must be englutted. Besides, in mercy the constable desires thee thou wilt mind thy followers of repentance, that their souls may make a peaceful and a sweet retire from off these fields where wretches their poor bodies must lie and fester. So in some ways he's there to ask Henry if he wants to ransom himself, but in other ways it's also one more scare tactic that France is using. Tell your men to make sure that they've said their prayers because they're going to die today. And Henry says, Who hath sent thee now? Montjoy says, The constable of France. King Henry says, I pray thee bear my former answer back. Bid them achieve me, and then sell my bones. Good God, why should they mock poor fellows thus? The man that once did sell the lion's skin while the beast lived was killed with hunting him. A many of our bodies shall no doubt find native graves, upon the which, I trust, shall witness live in brass of this day's work. And those that leave their valiant bones in France, dying like men, though buried in your dunghills, they shall be famed, for there the sun shall greet them, and draw their honours, wrecking up to heaven, leaving their earthly parts to choke your clime, the smell whereof shall breed a plague in France. Mark then abounding valour in our English, that being dead, like to the bullets crazing, break out into a second course of mischief, killing in relapse of mortality. Let me speak proudly. Tell the constable we are but warriors for the working day. Our gayness and our guilt are all besmirched with rainy marching in the painful field. There's not a piece of feather in our host. Good argument, I hope, we will not fly, and time hath worn us into slovenry. But by the mass, our hearts are in the trim, and my poor soldiers tell me, yet ere night they'll be in fresher robes, or they will pluck the gay new coats or the French soldiers' heads, and turn them out of service. If they do this, as if God please, they shall my ransom then will soon be levied. Herald, save thou thy labour, come thou no more for ransom, gentle herald. They shall have none, I swear, but these my joints, which if they have, as I will leave them, shall yield them little, tell the constable. I shall, King Henry, and so fare thee well. Thou never shalt hear herald any more. King Henry says, I fear thou wilt once more come again for a ransom. My lord, Most humbly on my knee I beg the leading of the wayward.